Have you ever felt that, that relentless pull of the alarm clock in the dark? Way before dawn, your body's just screaming for 5 more minutes.
Oh, absolutely. I think
Yeah.
most people know that feeling.
Right. But what if that moment, that quiet time when everyone else is asleep, what if that's actually like the most powerful hour of your day? We're
Hmm.
talking about 4 a.m. And, based on what we've looked into, for a lot of successful people, this is exactly where it starts, where
Hmm.
success is really born.
It really seems to be.
Yeah.
Jim Rohn, the legendary thinker and mentor, he famously said, "Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality."
Right.
And what's fascinating, I think, is that this bridge, it isn't built with like huge gestures or anything sudden. It's built, brick by quiet brick. Those little choices you make when nobody's looking,
Yeah.
especially when your comfort zone is just calling out, whispering, "Hey, maybe tomorrow."
Exactly. So instead of hitting snooze, you actually get up. You make a conscious choice. That's the 4.0 a.m. revelation we're talking about.
Mm.
It's not just a time, it's more like a commitment, right? A promise to yourself that you're not going to let life just drift by on autopilot.
Yeah,
We often think, oh, successful people are just lucky or they're born talented. But maybe for many, they're just getting up while the world's still dreaming. They're
yeah.
acting when others are still thinking about it.
And what's really compelling, I think, is digging into the why behind it, not just the early hour itself. Jim Rohn, he seemed to just get it intuitively, that to really master your life, you need this uninterrupted space, a
Yeah.
time that's totally untouched by all the demands and distractions that kind of hijack the rest of your day, is where you master yourself first.
Okay.
And the science actually backs this up pretty remarkably too. Neuroscience Quarterly, for example, they reported that between 4:20 a.m. and 6:30 a.m., the brain actually produces double the dopamine and norepinephrine.
Okay, dopamine and norepinephrine, those sound important. Can you break that down quickly?
Yeah.
Why do those matter so much for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Think of dopamine as like the fuel for motivation,
Yeah,
for reward, for that drive to actually go after your goals. Is what makes you feel good when you achieve something, right?
got it.
And norepinephrine, that's more about focus, alertness, processing information efficiently. So this specific time, this pre-dawn window,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just quiet. Your brain is literally primed naturally with the purest fuel for making bold decisions, for breakthrough thinking. It's just waiting there.
Wow.
It's like an internal superpower you can tap into every single day.
That really is a game changer because we've all felt that rush, right? The day starts with chaos, you're just reacting to emails, demands, feeling like you're constantly playing catch up.
Totally.
So today we're kind of flipping that script. This deep dive isn't just about, hey, wake up early. It's about reclaiming those first moments,
Good luck.
transforming them from just reacting into like a proactive launch pad for your biggest goals. So our mission here for this deep dive is really to figure out why 4 a.m. can be this secret weapon and, importantly, how you can actually use it to move from just living by inertia to really owning your life.
Yeah, and it's not about just cramming more work in or working longer hours. It's about working smarter
Hmm.
during this peak mental clarity time.
Right.
If you connect it to the bigger picture, lots of people feel exhausted. Not because they're doing too much necessarily, but maybe doing too many meaningless things, kind of in a state of semi-awareness.
Mm.
Jim Rohn called this the bankruptcy of time, that feeling, constantly busy, but never really getting ahead.
Oh, I know that feeling.
It's like burning 10 hours a day struggling through mud because you haven't dedicated that one focused hour early on
Mhm.
to build a bridge over the swamp.
Mm.
You know,
That's a great analogy.
the issue isn't always just your biology. Sometimes it's this philosophy of, oh, just a little more sleep, that's self-love.
Mhm.
But the source material we looked at, it offers a different angle.
Which-
That choosing just a little more sleep when you have a burning ambition, well, that might actually be a subtle way you're neglecting your own potential.
Right.
It's about being really honest with yourself. What do you value most in that specific moment?
Okay, that's a powerful shift. But, I mean, for a lot of people, the idea of waking up before dawn still sounds, well, brutal, like self-punishment almost.
Sure, yeah.
I can hear listeners thinking, isn't more sleep always better? Am I really stealing my potential if I prioritize rest? How do you square that common belief with this Ron philosophy?
That's a really good point, and it hit on the core misconception, I think. This isn't about sacrificing sleep overall. It's about prioritizing it differently, maybe shifting it, and then leveraging the unique benefits of the early morning.
Okay.
It's about being strategic. Jim Rohn taught something crucial. You don't change your life by impulse.
Mm-hmm.
He said you change it by establishing the right systems, repeated daily.
Systems.
Yeah. You don't need to be superhuman. You just need a system that minimizes the friction, makes it easier to just move forward with purpose.
Okay, so what does that system actually look like, practically speaking? What are the steps our sources suggest?
Well, the first and maybe the most critical step is what we're calling a vow for a new day. And this happens the night before.
Ah, okay. Not at 4 a.m.
Definitely not at 3:55 a.m. That decision has to be locked in the night prior. It's more than just, setting an alarm. It's like a pact with your future self. Before you turn off the lights, you consciously tell yourself, tomorrow, I'm not waking up just to be comfortable. I'm waking up to reclaim my time, to focus on what really matters to me. You actually visualize it, opening your eyes, the dim light, the quiet,
Right.
and then you visualize yourself getting out of bed, even if part of you resists in the visualization. This is how you start reprogramming your brain. It's about building that unwavering intention. You become the architect of your morning.
That commitment the night before, that sounds absolutely vital. Okay, so you've made the vow. What's step 2? How do you set up your space, your environment?
Step 2 is creating an environment that basically doesn't allow for retreat.
Right.
You make the path of least resistance the one where you actually get out of bed.
Okay, how?
Well, if your phone is right there, next to your pillow, you've already lost half the battle. Easy distraction. Bedside lamp within reach. Another excuse to linger. Didn't prepare your clothes or clear your workspace the night before, you're just setting up morning chaos.
Makes sense.
So instead, put your alarm way across the room. Force yourself to physically get up to turn it off, maybe stick a note next to it, something like, wake up for myself, not just for work. Lay out your clothes, put your shoes by the door, clear distractions from where you'll work or read. You don't win by willpower alone, you win by design.
Right.
As Jim Rohn wisely put it, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan.
And guess what they have planned for you?
Exactly. Not much.
His words.
Okay, so vow made, environment designed. What's next? The actual moment you open your eyes. What happens then? Thirdly, there's the opening ritual. This is to awaken that feeling of overcoming the initial inertia. The second your eyes open, do something, anything, to break the pattern of just lying there thinking unconsciously.
Like what?
No scrolling social media, no checking emails, no lingering. The goal is wake up your body to wake up your spirit. Maybe 10 deep breaths, a few light stretches, simple sit-ups, even just a 60-second warrior pose.
Yeah.
Stand tall, shoulders back, eyes straight ahead. And then maybe a powerful affirmation. I am awake because I am living for something bigger than myself. Just like 2 minutes of actively engaging your body. It can shift your entire day from drifting along to being purposeful. Ron called this internal discipline the highest form of freedom.
Okay, so you've wrestled yourself out of bed, stumbled through the dark, maybe even done a few sit-ups. Now what? That little surge of I did it can fade fast if you don't know why you did it.
Precisely. Which brings us to step 4. You need to have goals that are crystal clear and really impactful, goals that pull you forward. Why are you waking up at 4 a.m.? Don't just say, oh, I want to develop myself. Too vague. I want to read a book. Still not enough.
So be specific.
Extremely specific. What exact book am I reading? How many pages today? What am I writing down in my journal about? How long will that take? What specific product am I working on? Each morning hour has to be a precise step towards your intentional future.
Yeah.
No using into it. One mission, move forward on your terms.
Yeah.
Jim Rohn said, a vague goal can't awaken the spirit, but a clear goal can pull you out of bed in the pouring rain. And that's what you need every single morning. A genuinely compelling reason to rise.
And finally, step 5. This sounds like where the real magic starts to compound.
Step 5 is repetition.
Yeah.
Just doing it again and again until you genuinely, become someone new.
How does that feel?
Imagine day 1. You might just drag yourself up, right?
Hmm.
Day 3, still tired, maybe thinking, what was I thinking? But maybe by day 5, there's this little flicker, a quiet sense of pride starting. Day 10, maybe others start noticing something different. A subtle shift in your energy, your focus. And by day 30, you are literally not the same person who started.
Wow.
You don't just wake up early to work anymore. You wake up early to build a new version of yourself. Brick by consistent brick, breath by deliberate breath, quiet minute by quiet minute.
Sure.
And one day, you'll look back and realize each one of those 4.0 AMs was like a tiny rebellion against procrastination, against potential just sitting there untapped. No one saw it, no applause, but you knew. You knew you were forging someone stronger, more capable.
Yeah.
It just echoes Ron's wisdom. Discipline is the root of all good habits. Without it, you can dream, but you cannot make dreams a reality.
These aren't just abstract concepts, though. They're like blueprints for real change, and we saw this in the stories from our sources. Let's talk about Lynn, the 31-year-old architect. Her story really brings this to life.
Yeah, Lynn's story was great. She felt really stuck creatively, just designing these repetitive buildings when she dreamed of doing iconic stuff, right?
Yeah.
Her biggest block wasn't talent. It was the lack of, you guessed it, uninterrupted space. Time to really think, ideate, develop her own vision.
So she started the 4 a.m. thing.
She did. And it wasn't just random reading. She dove deep into specific case studies, biomimicry, sustainable materials, letting these really groundbreaking ideas actually connect and form in that quiet mental space. Her journaling wasn't just, I'm grateful for coffee. It was focused problem solving. How can I integrate rainwater harvesting seamlessly into this facade design? That focused, undisturbed hour let her develop not just a design, but a whole philosophy for a competition entry.
And the result?
6 months later, her green complex design won an international competition, got funded. Lynn didn't switch careers. She changed how she lived within her career, and, well, the world noticed.
That's an incredible example of that intentionality really driving innovation. What about another case? Where did this 4 a.m. approach make a real difference?
We also looked at Lan, a 28-year-old office worker. She felt like she was just existing, treading water, her dream, to be a content creator, sharing inspiring stories through video. But is buried under excuses, the daily grind.
A familiar story for many.
Very. But after hearing that Jim Rohn, quote, success is what you attract by the person you become, she decided, okay, I'll try 4 a.m. just once.
And that first day?
The first morning, in the quiet of her apartment, she just sat down and asked herself 3 really deep questions. Who am I really? What do I truly want? And what must I do to get there?
Wow, powerful.
Yeah, and from that clarity, she started small. Reading books on storytelling, video production, journaling her tiny steps, moments of gratitude, doing some light yoga for energy, and crucially, dedicating that hour to actually writing scripts, editing little clips, learning the tech side of video.
So consistent action.
Totally consistent. She wasn't born with special talent, wasn't wealthy. She just chose to make simple, meaningful choices at 4 a.m. every single day, 12 months later. Her first video, imperfect but totally authentic, it reached thousands. Now her channel has tens of thousands of followers.
Amazing.
Lan's story isn't some miracle. It's just tangible proof that applying these 4.0 a.m. rituals, it really can change your path.
What really stands out from these stories and everything we've dug into is this idea that waking at 4 by a.m. is fundamentally, well, it's an act of faith, isn't it? A belief that you actually deserve a greater life. And that journey, it doesn't start with the alarm. It starts in your head, with your mindset. Through that kind of self-counseling, figuring out who you are, what you really want.
Yeah, and those aren't easy questions.
Not at all. It's like shining a bright light into all the corners of your habits, forcing you to face the truth. But from that clarity, you build a vision, like a lighthouse guiding you.
And that vision, that's just the start, right? Jim Rohn always taught that goals don't just appear, they're forged. By consistent daily discipline, every page you read at 4.0 a.m. That's a brick building your wisdom.
Yeah.
Every line in your journal. An anchor for gratitude, for perseverance, each minute of exercise. A reminder that your body is the vehicle for your will. And every single early action is like declaring, I don't wait for miracles, I make them.
If we think about the big picture, imagine your life is a painting. Each 4 a.m., it's like a deliberate brushstroke. You're the artist. So what masterpiece are you going to create? Is it going to be just a repetitive picture, days blurring together, dreams just sitting there? Or will it be a masterpiece where every stroke is moving forward, every color is a dream coming true?
Yeah.
Ron often reminded us, right? You don't have to be good from the start, but you have to start to be good. And that deep silence in the early morning, that's where you face the biggest question. Is the life I'm living really the one I want?
And if the answer is no, then every single morning is a fresh chance, a chance to change. Not with some huge leap, but with those small, consistent, meaningful actions.
Right.
Waking at 4 a.m. isn't really about doing more. It's about becoming more. Sharper, more consistent, more energetic, more honest with yourself. Every ritual you practice in that hour is like a promise to your future self. A commitment to build a life without regrets.
So as you think about everything we've explored in this deep dive, maybe consider this. 4 a.m. isn't just a time on the clock. It's a profound commitment, a commitment to rise above the ordinary. It's a quiet assertion that you are actively designing a life filled with extraordinary purpose.
Yeah.
Jim Rohn didn't just leave us lessons, he left us a kind of fire, didn't he? The fire of belief that anyone, anywhere can become their greatest version. So let each morning be that guiding fire for you, lighting the path to a legacy worth remembering. You're not just living, you're actually creating.